Okay, all right. So let's start. Okay, so today we'll start with basic concepts of cryptography. Okay, and I'm sure many of us know about cryptography because we would have heard these terms like encryption, encoding, hashing, etc., etc. Right? And so we are here in the course. We have learned about basics and access control mechanism, authentication mechanism, authorization mechanisms. Okay, now we are into cryptography. Okay. All right. These are the contents. Sorry, these are the sources from I have taken the contents, and you can read some of these if you want. Especially this book is quite nice. Okay, so we'll take up some of these topics because we have about half an hour left out. Okay. CIA model we have studied in depth, and the purpose here to discuss it again is that we want to achieve these functionalities through cryptography. Confidentiality is that something is being sent from A to B or Alice to Bob should not be seen by somebody in between. Okay, and may for example it could be any person. So there are a lot of examples where we need confidentiality, right? You may want to send information about stock, or how much money you have, what your account numbers to your partner, and nobody in between should be able to read that. Okay. Integrity is that somebody in between should not be able to change the contents, right? You say that I'm giving you $100. Somebody should not say that you are giving person B $200. Okay. So the unauthorized changes should not be allowed. And then authenticity. You should know whom you are talking to, right? If Alice is if Bob thinks that he is talking to Alice, actually he should be talking to Alice, not to Trudy or somebody in between. Okay. Availability is that Alice is communicating with Bob, and whatever packets Alice is sending should not be gobbled by somebody in between. All right. So essentially, it means that overwhelming a server or crashing a server and disruption of infrastructure. So these are the three things that we want to achieve. Now you would have noticed that we are using some characters here like Alice, Bob. Then sometimes we use word Eve. Then we use Trudy, and so on, right? So most of the authors use these terms, right? So it becomes very simple, right? So now obviously you would have noticed that Alice and Bobs are friendly people. They exchange messages, right? Okay. So these are the four characters we use, and of course we can add to this Trudy. Uh, yeah, Alice, Bob, Eve, Mallory, and Trudy. Now some authors use Trudy, so sometimes you will find in my PPT's character called Trudy. Okay, so Alice and Bob are main characters trying to send messages to each other over insecure communication channel. Okay, so Alice and Bob sending message over insecure. We say insecure where message can be read by anybody, or it can also be changed by anybody. Okay, so we assume that, and internet is one such mechanism, right? Or communication medium where whatever you send can be seen by in between, because all your messages pass through a router. Now I'm talking about plain IP. I am not talking about so when you create IP message, whatever you put in the packet is visible to all routers in between. Okay. It can also be changed by some router if they want to. Okay. All right. Now some there, so basically Alice and Bob are exchanging messages, and somebody has to be there in between, right? Who can do naughty things like eavesdropper in between, and we call it Eve. This character Eve. Eve is the one who will just read the messages. She is curious what's happening between Alice and Bob. Okay, but Mallory here, a character, uh, is little malicious in nature, where can change the contents of the message between Alice and Bob, or we can call it him a manipulator. Okay, so these characters we'll use. Sometimes we'll use 2D, and 2D can do both eavesdropping as well as manipulation. Okay, all right. Okay, so who can be Alice and Bob in our communication world? Here, most of the communication that we are doing on internet is a client server model, right? Now, in a client server model, basically both ends use the same protocol. Okay, so Alice and Bob can be your browser, Alice can be your browser, and Bob can be server, or vice versa. Okay, it can be online banking client and server. There is a client in your browser or your machine, and server is a banking server wherever it is, right? It could be domain name server, it could be router exchanging routing table updates. Okay, routers exchange as part of some routing algorithm like IS and so on. They exchange messages, routing tables, right? So this also can be this also use you can say one router is a Bob, another is Alice. Okay, so they what a bad guy can do, like Trudy or Mallory can do eavesdrop. This is generally role that Eve likes to do, or actively insert messages into connection. Eve will not do this. It will be done by Mallory or maybe by Trudy. Impersonation can make or can spoof source address in a packet. Okay, this is the role of Mallory. Can pose as Alice and do the conversation. Okay, hijacking is taking over ongoing connection by removing sender and receiver, inserting himself in this place. This is also called man in middle attack. Okay, so Mallory can do this. Denial of service is preventing services from being used by others, like overloading resources, like all clients can do ping onto a server, and then this server will crash. Okay, by denial of service, DOS attacks. Okay, all right, so these are the characters we are going to use. Simple. Okay, the question I am asking you is that, are you using cryptography in your gadgets or applications that you use? Yeah, anyone? Saurav Sehgal, can you tell me?
Yes, sir. Like if we talk about even our laptops, so when
Mm-hmm.
we like if I want to access my passwords, they are first of all converted into encrypted forms. Like
Ah,
even if we are we want to use password cracker because they are being
mhm.
converted into encrypted forms and then we want to crack them.
Yeah, that's good. But anything more, that happens in OS, right? But tell me anything in real life that we are using encryption or cryptography. anything. There, you know what? Right now, what we are doing is encrypted. Do you think that our voices are not encrypted and decrypted?
Like WhatsApp messages.
WhatsApp, very good. WhatsApp message when we send one to end to another is all encrypted, and there is a decryption happening at other end. Okay, anything else? Okay, you know, hundreds of places, right? All transactions you do on bank, you know, on bank website, you know, you want to log in, even that process is all encrypted, right? You know, bank send you a statement, okay, that is encrypted, and you'll have to use the key that's known to you. You know, of course, these keys can always be easily found out. Basically is first few characters of your name, and then it month and password. It's a very simple key, okay, but there's another way of encrypting, some kind of security they're providing. What else? I mean, you get all OTT contents, are they encrypted or not? Like, you know, Netflix, for example, are these encrypted? Yeah, the Netflix sends especially contents to you, and they don't want it to be seen by anybody else, so they will send encrypted contents, and then you need to decrypt it. Okay, otherwise anybody can create multiple copies of that, right? I mean, in your home you can have 5 connections, and then make one request, and then you can watch it in multiple rooms. So there can be number of ways the contents can be stolen. Now the question is that content especially encrypted for you, or in general encrypted and everybody can decrypt it? Is one to one, specially encrypted for you, right? Everything that we do, right, almost everything has some aspect of cryptography. Like ATM machines, you withdraw cash. How does it, I mean, when you enter pin, do you think a pin is communicated to server in plain text? No, it's encrypted, right? So all the communication that happens, or packet exchange that happens from ATM machine to the server, happens over internet. Because ATM machines are not standalone machines, these are internet connected to backend server, and backend server can check how much money you have in account, and then allow you to withdraw some amount of cash. Okay, all the communication we do in GSM, in your 2G, 3G, 4G, now 5G, is encrypted. Okay, it means that somebody cannot, you are talking to somebody over air, and you know, the wireless part is from your mobile phone to the base station, right? I mean, the towers that you see, rest all communication happens over wire, right? You know this, right? So and so there is a encryption between you and the server that is there in that those towers, right? So air part of the communication is all encrypted, and also beyond. Okay, Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi router, whatever communication you receive from Wi-Fi router to your cell phone or your laptop is all encrypted, right? So these are the two encryption mechanisms: WEP and WPA2. And how about HTTP? When you do when you browse a web page, right? And if you are using HTTP, then essentially you are not using encryption. That's the reason it's always mentioned that use HTTPS. Okay, and any site that's not using HTTP, you should stop communication with that site. Email communication is all encrypted, like PGP or SMIME. These are the protocols. Password storage, we have already studied this. We have password manager, and then password manager generates all passwords for you right in the beginning, and it keeps this password in encrypted form. E-currency, credit card, debit card, communication, bitcoins, Bitcoin, Bitcoin is very interesting concept, right? You use very large keys, and you have private key and public key. This, we'll study this, and these private keys are very long and generated only once. Sorry, generated every time you want to do transaction. Okay, so we'll look at how we can use encryption in Bitcoin. Cable TV, Blu-ray, DVD, blockchain, all these use cryptography. VPN, SSL protocol, data storage over disk. We nowadays we encrypt it on your hard disk. If you encrypt the data and you know the key, then even if your laptop is lost, data is actually not lost because it's very difficult to decrypt it. PGP uses this. There's something called Kerberos. We'll study if we get time. DRM, like you buy a music CD, right? Then the contents there are all encrypted using DRM technology. Okay, iPhone data is encrypted, iTunes, Kindle, all these, right? That all whatever there is a communication and you want to have security, you have to use cryptography. Okay, online shopping, for example, suppose this is Amazon server here, and then it's you. So whatever communication is happening has to be encrypted. Okay, once, but how will you encrypt it? You will use some algorithm. This algorithm is known to everyone. Okay, but you are using a key. Okay, using the key you encrypt, and the other end use the same key to decrypt, for decryption, right? So now question is that how, and this key has limited lifetime for the transaction. So how are you going to exchange the key? Because key can also be stolen by somebody like Trudy or Mallory. Okay. So now first step in this is key exchange protocol. So there is a protocol that is used to key exchange and is secure in the sense that Trudy or Mallory cannot find out the key. How does this happen? That's a that's a very interesting algorithm which we will study later. Okay. So all right. So once keys are exchanged, then communication can happen. Encrypted communication can happen because whatever you are encrypting, server can decrypt, and whatever server is encrypting, you can decrypt using the same key. Say K here. Okay. All right. So TLS uses many cryptographic primitives like hash function, digital signature, public key encryption. These are used for key exchanges, and in order to have secured channels, once keys have been exchanged, then you have to send encrypted message. So use symmetric encryption, message authentication, and integrity checks. Okay. Now you can relate to what we have studied so far, that even something that looks very simple, that you are exchanging, you are doing a transaction over say Amazon.com, requires large number of protocols, and all the properties that we have studied, like confidentiality, integrity, and authentication should be preserved or should be applied. Okay. All right. And there are some attacks that we'll study, like replay attack, man in the middle attack, and so on. So this protocol, like HTTPS, should take care of these kind of attacks. It means that this protocol should not allow these attacks. Okay. Cryptography is very old. uh, okay, over 2500 years old. Please go through this. There's nothing, you can actually Google it and find out. And there is a mention of classical text Kam Sutra of Vatsayana that mentions how secret writing, how to do secret writing, that two partners can practice. Okay, between two partners, if they write in plain text, it can be visible to everyone. So what is the way that secretly writing can be done, right? It's mentioned in this classical text, which I guess about 1,000 years old or even more, I don't know. Find it out. So in this course we'll not worry about mathematics, we'll worry more about the concepts, because once we go into mathematics, we will take 10 to 12 lectures and we don't have so much time. Okay, so if you are interested in mathematics, possibly you can read some books on approach your theoretical computer science faculty members, who expertise in this one. All right, so basically cryptography or cryptology has two main fields, cryptography and cryptanalysis. Okay, cryptography, we will learn about symmetric ciphers. Like once keys have been exchanged, what we do is symmetric encryption, right? Or asymmetric ciphers that we do for key exchanges, etc. And the protocols. Okay, and symmetric ciphers are of two types, block ciphers and stream ciphers. So we'll study all this in the course. We'll not get into crypto analysis, how to break a crypto algorithm. Okay, all right. So goals of cryptography is secure communication, which means the confidentiality and integrity, which involves also authenticity. Okay, so these are the two things, right? How to make message communication in a confidential way, and how to make it authentic, in the sense that somebody in between should not be able to change the contents of the message. Okay, insecure medium, we have already studied that insecure medium, anybody can read what is being communicated or can change the contents and can pose as a third person. Okay, so insecure channels are internet and Wi-Fi. Now we whole objective is that how to make them secure. If you take plain vanilla internet without any security protocols, then this internet communication does not say anything about security. It simply talks about how packets should be formed and what is the format of the packet, what is IP address, okay, what can be maximum side, what are different fields in the packet, that's all. And then it's given to routers, and routers exchange it based on some routing information they collect. Okay, that's all. It does not say anything about encryption and so on and so forth, right? Now it is responsibility of users to use protocols to make it secure. Okay, so this we have already studied. Okay, so basically Alice wants to send a message to Bob, and she is sending it over in secure channel. She has a plain text to send, and she will use encryption algorithm. uh, these are known encryption algorithm. Okay, and use a key Ka to encrypt this. What output will come out is ciphertext, which today even if she receives cannot decode it, or cannot find out what's written, cannot find out the plain text from ciphertext. And then Bob has the key Kb and will be able to decrypt this and will get the plain text. Okay, now this encryption decryption can be done in two ways. One is symmetric key, where is Ka is equal to Kb. Key that Alice uses same as the one used by Bob. And second is called asymmetric key encryption, which is called public encryption also, that will have two keys, public key and private key. So each user will have public key and also a private key. We'll see how encryption can happen with is two keys later in the course. Any question? Okay, so there is a term called cipher. We use here cipher text or text that has been ciphered. Okay, cipher is nothing but algorithm for encryption and decryption. Okay, already we know this, right? We have plain text, we use encryption using some key. Okay, now we have ciphertext, we decrypt it and we have plain text. So what it does is confidentiality protection. Because nobody can, if somebody receives this also, can't decipher it or can't get the original text. Okay. So it has, apart from confidentiality, it can do integrity checking and authenticity. Now we'll look at all these aspects little later once we study these algorithms. Okay. So what your image of encryption is a not actually, like this guy says that I have encrypted my computer. And don't try this trick with your father, right? Telling that my grade card is encrypted. Okay, so we have seen that we have two types of cryptography. First is called symmetric and second is called asymmetric. Okay. Also this is called secret key cryptography or public key cryptography. So we'll use these terms interchangeably. So basically two methods. In first method, Alice and Bob use the same secret key, same key K both use. Okay, so whatever Alice sends, this encrypted with a secret key and Bob receives it, use the same key and decrypt it. It's called symmetric encryption. Second is non-symmetric encryption that uses two keys, public key and private key. So Alice will have this second case, Alice will have two keys, public key, her public key and her private key. Similarly, Bob will have two keys, public key and private key. Now public key is published. Alice will publish, this is my public key. Similarly, Bob will publish this my public key, and but Alice will not publish private key. Similarly, Bob will not publish private key. Now using these four keys, secure communication between two can happen. Looks like magic, right? So we'll study the algorithm. Like RSA is very famous company, so RSA is one such algorithm. Now symmetric key encryption, right? We are repeating it several times because I want you to have an image of this. So Alice and Bob are trying to send a message. So Alice has a plain text. She will use the key to encrypt using some encryption algorithm. It will go over insecure channel as ciphertext. Bob will receive this ciphertext, will use same decryption algorithm. Okay, this algorithm is same, it's known. Use the key, same key, and get the plain text. Now the question you can, how do they exchange the key? So we have algorithms for key exchanges. Okay, in older times, actually manually these keys were sent. Like there is example where communication has to happen between one part of the army to another part of the army, and they have sent a truckload of these keys. For example, if you are a soldier, it will come in your name in a sealed envelope. Okay, but nowadays we can do it over internet. The question is that when internet is insecure channel, how can we do it securely? So all these terms, one term is called key space. How many keys are possible that you can use, or how many set of keys Alice can use? Okay, how many key combinations are possible essentially, right? So did you notice this, that all users know the details of encryption and decryption algorithm? It's open source. So it's very similar, right, to lock and key that we use at home. Anybody can make a lock. Well, make how to make a lock? I mean, you go to small towns, even you know you will find shops that make some kind of locks. Okay, making a lock is known process, right? But keys are something that's important. So everyone knows how to make a lock, but key that's unique to open a lock. Same thing we apply here. Okay, so we use the same encryption decryption algorithm but different keys. So key is a secret, while design of lock is public. Anybody can design. And these algorithms are known like DES, AES, etc. Okay. Okay. So now key has to be then unique and cannot be easily generated. If say my key size is just 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? You will have to choose any of these keys. Then it's very simple to break it, right? In some, what do you call that, suitcases, you'll have this combination locks. Okay, usually of 3 digits. So now all possible combination is 2 raised to power 3 if it's a bit, right? And if it's a digit, then different combination of 0 to 9. uh, Basically, how many combinations? The 999 combinations it can have, 1,000 combinations. 000 to 999, 1,000 combinations. So it's very easy to break. What you increase in the suitcase, that this number of keys that you have to create, if you increase it to say 1024, then it's impossible to break. Find out the right key. Okay, the length of the key becomes very important, right? And then the AES algorithm uses 128, 192, and 512 bits, whatever. I mean, these are combinations possible. Either you can use 128 or 192 or 512. Okay. And then related principle is that Kirchhoff's principle, which was studied earlier. A crypto system should remain secure if everything about system except the key is public knowledge. So security by obscurity doesn't work. This principle we have studied in detail. So basic assumption in cryptography is that the adversary knows the algorithm. Everyone knows the algorithm, right? Only secret is the key. Now reason for another 1 minute and we'll close, 2 minutes and close. Algorithms are reason is that algorithms are very difficult to make. Crypto algorithms are very difficult to design and requires a lot of expertise. Okay, it takes very long time to design it. So very likelihood that if you with very limited knowledge try to design it, it's insecure and it's easy to break. Okay, so it's very hard to make algorithm good and robust. Now second thing is that if crypto algorithm is not public, then it's difficult to find fault and make them robust. All right. So this reason algorithms, crypto algorithms are not designed by everyone, and the steps of those algorithms are known. Okay, all right. So now there is another principle called Shannon's maximum. It says the enemy knows the system. So you need to design system under the assumption that enemy will immediately gain the full familiarity with them. So even if you design a castle, okay, you cannot design it thinking that enemies don't know what this castle contains. I mean, our enemy, the enemy of the country, knows everything about the country. He knows that where the army units are, where navy units are, uh, how many nuclear power plants we have, how many nuclear bombs even we have. Okay, but so so these kind of algorithms, right, cannot be kept secret for very long. Okay, hence it becomes important to have keys. Keys can be unique and keys can be changed frequently. Okay, all right. So however, these kind of algorithms cannot protect even if Alice and Bob cheat each other. If Alice says that I have sent you $100, Bob says that you have sent me just $5 over a message, right? And later on, it cannot be proved, okay, that whether Alice is telling truth or Bob is telling the truth. The only way to handle that is called non-repudiation, which can be achieved only by asymmetric cryptography, where we have public key and private key and so on and so forth. That with when both entities, sender and receiver, are using the same key, then non-repudiation is not possible. Or somebody cannot deny. Now, in symmetric cryptography, someone can deny that the transaction has happened. So, bank has sent you money, and later on you say that prove that you have sent me money, or I have done the transaction. I have transferred the money from my one account to somewhere else. Okay, if you are using symmetric key in cryptography, then it cannot be proved. Then we'll have to use asymmetric key in cryptography called public key into cryptography. Then we can. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any question? All right, then. Thank you.
Regarding the assignment, we have
Yeah.
to